Today I want to show you how I am currently saving, storing, organizing every piece of information that comes across my desk, my mind, my eyes, whatever you want to call it, and how I'm storing it in such a way that I can retrieve it in seconds from anywhere at any time. And this is basically what I have learned so far in the wonderful book, Building Your Second Brain by Tiago Forte. And these are going to be my sort of beginner steps because I've just sort of started dipping my toes into this concept, and I am so excited about it because I can just see what amazing benefits it can have in my life, my overwhelmed life at the moment. So a second brain, if you are new to the concept, is basically just personal knowledge management system. It's another system for personal knowledge management. Personal knowledge management isn't a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. If you go and look it up, you'll see there are so much written about it, and there are digital systems, there are paper systems, but a system is a system and you need a system, and that is why I'm so excited about this, because I have no system. So why would you want to do this? Okay, because it sounds very complicated, but it really is not. If you think about what you have learned in your lifetime so far, how much of that can you actually retrieve today? How much time have you spent learning things and absorbing knowledge and doing work that you now have very little to show for? And it's because your brain is not meant to store things like a filing cabinet. Your brain is not meant to store large amounts of things for just an infinite amount of time. Your brain is really best used as a processing system. And that is why you need a second brain, because your first brain needs to be freed up. So, like I said, the whole concept of personal knowledge management systems are not new, but they are so much more needed today because of the insane influx of information that we are all bombarded with every day. This is why we are so overwhelmed. And the speed at which we need to deal with this information is just beyond our capacity as human beings. And we are expected to deal with all of this, but we don't have a system to deal with it, which is why personal knowledge management and building your own second brain is going to be, hopefully, I believe, revolutionary. Building a second brain is going to be a very individualized process for each person. It is not a one-size-fits-all type of a model, but the principles of it can be applied to anyone and to anybody's working environment, whatever your career, whatever your path in life. You will be able to use these principles to better organize and structure the information that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, which is why it's so great. But what I'm going to share with you now is my way that I'm applying it as a creative person who does content creation, and I'm a visual artist, and these are the things that are currently helping me condense all of that information and organize all of my information and simplify it. But like I said, I'm a total beginner, so this is just what I'm currently doing. So the first really important reason why I am actually prioritizing building my second brain, because I've never done anything like this before. Even though I am a very organized person in my day-to-day life, I've always been sort of neat and tidy, but this doesn't apply to digital information, and to, you can't tidy and fold all the quotes that you've collected over the years. You need a system. So the first reason why I wanted to do this is because it will free up space. It'll free up space specifically in my brain so that there is more brain power left to do thinking work, which is what I would essentially like my brain to do, is think better thoughts and not be bogged down by remembering things it doesn't really need to remember. So the other way is also that it will save time. So space and time Space for my brain, time in my life, those are two major things, and that is one of the promises of having a personal knowledge management system, is that those two become significantly freed up. If you think about a second brain, think about it like an external hard drive for your computer. All of the information in your computer is actually making it run slower because it needs to process it all the whole time. But if you transfer all of that info onto an external hard drive, your computer is essentially freed up and will process things faster. It'll speed things up. And that's how I sort of think about it. That's how I feel. And I think there's significant scientific research done on the amount of stress background noise it has on you. If you have constantly have millions of things in the back of your mind that you have to remember or that you need to remember, and you know that you're not actually putting it to use, you know that you don't have a system yet to handle that, that actually causes a lot of stress in your life. It's stress that you're not always even aware of, but it's a sort of like a background anxiety. And so I'm hoping that this system will help me with that. Another way that it will save you time is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you sit down and have to do some work, whatever that work is. You are relying on a lot of things that you've already done so that you don't have to ever start from scratch. And that saves you a lot of time. The second benefit you will get from building your own second brain is that it will increase your focus and decrease the overwhelm. So because you are limiting the amount of information at a single time that you need to deal with, if you imagine it a bit like, this is how I imagine it. If you think about Battlestar Galactica, I don't know how old you are, if you know what Battlestar Galactica is, but anyway, it's basically like the only TV games we ever played. It's like all these things are constantly coming at you and you have to shoot them down. But if you imagine that that's all information, it's coming the whole time throughout your day, and it's coming from various sources. You could, you have email, you have person-to-person contact with people where information's coming from. You're watching content, you're reading content, you're reading a book. You have a lot of stuff that you're managing on a day-to-day basis. If you know where to sort of put those in a sort of a waiting area, and you can deal with them one by one, you are far less overwhelmed. And that is sort of what a second brain creates. It's a sort of waiting area so that you can redirect the flow of traffic into this waiting area, and so it's not just all coming at you from all directions. So this also then helps keep your attention focused. Third reason I'm building a second brain is for a very important concept, and that is creating leverage. Now, leverage is basically just using information and knowledge to its maximum advantage to create new resources. So you're taking what you already have, your existing resources, and you are expanding and multiplying them by really using them to the best of your ability. Another way of looking at leverage is really to think, instead of working harder, working smarter. There are always ways to better what you are doing and still get that outcome without putting in more effort. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Leverage is getting a better outcome without having to increase the effort. And that's really what I think it means when people say work smarter, not harder. It's not that anybody has an affliction towards hard work, because if you do, then you probably won't even care about building a second brain to begin with. But there's no point in using and expending effort that is unnecessary when you can get an even better result just in using your effort in a different way. Another great thing about leverage is that, and leveraging your current information, your current knowledge that you already have, is that when you go through this process and it expands and you multiplying your resources, you eventually start making new connections between pieces of information that seemed unrelated to you at one time. But because you have now created a system where you can sort of see them all together, you make new and interesting connections, and that is how you expand your knowledge. Doesn't that sound fantastic and exciting to the nerds out there? So now I want to talk to you about the steps. I'm going to give you 3 steps that you can do today. You can start doing this today. You don't need any specialized knowledge. This is capture, tag, and file. Just 3, capture, tag, and file. So capture. Capture is how you are going to get the information from wherever you're getting it from into your digital system. Now, like I said, there are plenty of people who actually don't use a digital system, but I'm specifically talking about a digital system now because obviously you can't tag. Well, you can probably, but it's not going to have the same effect. You need to use something that has a digital tagging function. And so the capture part is actually going to become more of a habit. It's a habit that you have to form. You have to get into the habit of capturing information that comes across your path. These could be things like emails. They could be digital notes. They could be ideas that you have. They could be interesting video that you saw and you think, oh, I need to actually get that information again when I have to do the thing that they were showing. Or, you know, someone said something yesterday on the radio and I need to remember that. Or I need to look up that book that that person mentioned to me yesterday at work. These are all information and knowledge that we have to deal with. And so you have to find a way to get that into a digital format. Whether you write it down, whether you write it in a notes app, or whether you write it first in a commonplace book, which is a physical notebook, and once a week you transfer all those things over into your computer or your phone or whatever. That would be capturing. When you capture, you can use multiple tools for this. There's no one app for everything. Believe me, I've tried. That's a wasted mission if you really want to waste your time, because certain information is just captured better in certain apps. So just find something and find a couple of things that you like using and that you find easy to use, but that specifically has a tagging function. So if you just want to use like Google Keep, which I use a lot now. Google Keep is obviously free and it's super easy to use. And you can use voice notes, you can make written notes, you can take pictures, and it comes with a tagging system, which is fantastic. So say, for instance, you have an idea about something, you quickly make a note of it on Google Keep. Quick in and out. Create a tag for it of what that topic is about. Later, when you go and look in your notes, you can quickly find it because there's now searchability attached to it. So you can quickly search that tag and you can see everything come up that has that same tag, which is how you make new connections. So that's how I capture just random notes, thoughts, most things like that. I just capture in Google Keep. I find it easier to do that. When I'm reading a book, for example, I read most books on a Kindle, just because I find it easier. I'm, on the go. I like to always have my Kindle with me, and all my highlights now sync on an app that I have called Readwise, and this has also helped me tremendously. It makes me feel like every time I read something, I'm going to remember it better, because when I highlight it, I get a reminder from them once a day of random quotes that I have highlighted in the past, just to refresh my memory. And at the same time, it's creating a database for me of sorts of all the quotes that I've ever made on any book, and they are also taggable. So you can go in and say, these tags are about this subject, those tags are about, or this quote, sorry, not tags, these quotes are about this, and give them each a tag. And so later, when you are, say, for instance, I write blog posts on creative recovery and creative productivity and those sorts of things. If I want to look up something specifically, like, say, procrastination, then I can go and search through all of my quotes that I've ever captured in all the books I've ever read that I've tagged with procrastination, and they'll all come up. I mean, that saves you crazy time. Crazy time. So Readwise is a great app. Look into it if you are interested. I'm not sponsored by them at all or anything like that. Another app that really helps me capture specifically articles or emails, things that I've been reading, is Readwise's other app that is just Reader. I used to use Pocket and Pocket Cast and all those things. But now I just use Reader because you can also save videos in there to read later, and you can also assign a tag to each of these things. But that's nice for when you come across an article, you come across an email, you know, you want to read it now, but you really don't need to read it now, but you know you want to read it at some stage. It's nice to put it somewhere and give it a tag so you know what it is in reference to. So read later apps are fantastic, quick note-taking apps fantastic, but they all need to have a tagging system. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very hard for you to go and find that thing again. And so I've now actually discussed 1 and 2, capture and tagging. The tagging is really vital to this whole process. Step number 3 is the filing system. So the way you're going to file your things is in a system coined and created and developed by Tiago Forte, who is the author of BASB, Building a Second Brain. And he calls this system PARA, the P-A-R-A. The P stands for projects. The A stands for areas. The R stands for resources. And the last A stands for archive. So the concept behind this is that instead of filing all your information like you would have in the past, maybe sort of like a library would, according to category or topic, like I used to do this, I had like a file for finances and a file for work, you know, blog, YouTube, whatever, child, house, you know. Instead of filing it like that, you're going to file it according to actionability. So the things that require your most urgent attention, that requires the most actions to be taken right now, are going to be projects. Projects are things that have deadlines. They are things that you are doing, and there could be multiple ones, there could be multiple projects, there could be, you know, 15 projects that you are working on all sort of simultaneously, especially if you are a creative person. I mean, there's usually lots of projects, even if you're in sales. I mean, I'm sure there's multiple things that you are working on at the same time. So having it all in projects helps you then take the information that fits each project and storing it within that project, so that when you're going to go and do that project, you just open that file and everything is in there. All the quotes, all the articles, all the whatever, voice notes, all the videos, everything. Now, areas are things that require just a little bit less of your attention, but they are sort of ongoing areas of interest. Things that will never go away, things that don't have any deadline, like your health, your child's education. I mean, there's no deadline there. Your garden, things that are connected maybe to your house, cooking things, recipes, whatever. I've even got a wardrobe one. I mean, it's really fun for me, but anyway. So those are areas of ongoing interest. And then R stands for resources. Now, those are things that you come across, you know that you find them interesting. It's something that you'd like to look into one day, but you just don't have a specific place for it yet. It doesn't fit into one of the current projects that you have, but it might one day. It's something that you just don't quite know what to do with yet, but you know it's something that is interesting to you in some way or another. So you put it into resources. And then archives is where you're going to put all your expired projects, everything you've already done, because just because you've done a project doesn't mean that all the information contained in that project is now wasted and useless. Usually you can reuse some of that stuff. So you put them in archives. So last thing about the Para system is that you're going to now go and create that filing system, those 4 files across all of your devices. You can put it on your computer and your phone, and within each app that you use, whether you have Notion, whether you use Obsidian, whether you use just your Google Keep, whether you have Evernote, go and create those those categories there, because once you then start getting that information, you're going to have somewhere to go and put them. Tiago Forte suggests that if you are just starting and you're now looking at your computer and it's just like file ridden, that you go and create those folders and just take everything that is on your computer right now and just chuck it all into archives, and then slowly but surely divide it up and get it into, sort it into the appropriate categories as you go. And then obviously you'll also probably realize that there's a lot of stuff that you really don't need and that you actually can delete. Step 5, I would say, is to list all of your current ongoing projects. Everything that has a deadline currently in your life, go and create a folder for that thing in your projects folder. And then you can easily start looking through all the saved stuff that you currently have in your laptop or in your computer or on your phone. All your PDFs, all the stuff in your Google Drive. I mean, obviously you also go and do those 4 file things on your Google Drive. And then you can start and organize them and categorize them and put them all where they need to be. They all need a new home. They've been homeless for all this time. So this is just what I'm doing now. Like I said, completely adaptable system. That's what's so great about it. The next area I feel like I will want to learn a little bit more about or improve a little bit more on is note-taking, specifically learning how to take better notes. And once I do that, I'll make a video about that. I need to find a better way of capturing podcasts while I'm actually listening to them. Usually I'm washing dishes, or let's not say I wash dishes, I pack the dishwasher. Sometimes I'm cleaning or I'm cooking, sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts. So I just need an efficient way of capturing those things. I'm sure there's something out there. And then I would also like to review what I have captured more. I'd like to put in maybe a time every week where I go and review everything that I've captured, or look at my commonplace book, because I also have one of those. I like writing things physically, and so I will then once a week capture those digitally. Either just take a picture of it or, Google Lens it. Where would we be without Google Lens? I don't know. But so see the description box below for what I have linked there. I've also written a blog post about books and things for creative people that talk a lot about systems of, creating systems and habits for productivity. I will link that below as well. Please let me know if you like this topic, and if you have any ideas that you don't mind sharing with us and me, I would be very appreciative. And thank you so much for watching. Tune in again, and I'll see you soon. Ciao!